Have you ever seen angels? Not on the pages of the Bible, not in movies, but in real life. There's a common belief that such visions usually bring fear and shock to those who experience them. But in reality, that's not the case. And by the end of this video, you'll understand why. Those who have witnessed this supernatural phenomenon often choose not to speak about it, afraid of being labeled insane. Not everyone has the courage to share such an experience, and that's completely normal. But imagine there's a small group of people who not only encounter strange and unexplainable things on a regular basis, but aren't afraid to talk about them publicly. And no, they're not mystics or religious figures. These people are hospice nurses and end-of-life care specialists. These individuals face death almost every day, and sometimes they see and feel what's usually hidden from the living. Visitors from another world. Angels. In this video, you'll hear real accounts documented by hospice professionals. You'll discover what angels actually look like, who they come to, why they appear, and what purpose they serve. Watch until the end. Something truly extraordinary awaits you. Trudy Harris never planned to become the voice for what happens between this life and the next. She was a hospice nurse, calm, practical, grounded in evidence. Something shifted when her patients, one after another, began to describe the same impossible things. They spoke about visitors, tall, silent figures standing quietly by their bedside. Angels, appearing masculine, graceful, and at least 8 feet tall. Their robes were white, but not the kind of white you could name. Not ivory, not snow, not light. Something beyond all of that. They never spoke, yet their presence filled the room with peace so deep that fear itself seemed to vanish. At first, Trudy looked for medical explanations. Maybe medication, maybe the mind protecting itself. But she started to notice something. The stories came from people who were fully conscious, clear-minded, even skeptical like she once was. They did not talk about vague lights or dreamlike shapes. They described a very similar kind of being, as if they were all witnessing the same presence through different eyes. Then one day, it happened in her own family. Her mother, nearing the end of her life, looked toward the corner of her room and asked, "Who is that old man sitting there?" Trudy, trying to comfort her, said softly, "Maybe he is your guardian angel." Her mother smiled faintly and replied, "That is who he is." From that moment, she looked peaceful, completely at ease. Not long after, one of Trudy's hospice nurses came to her office early in the morning, steady but unsettled. "Has anyone ever told you," she asked, "that they saw angels in the garden?" Trudy nodded. Yes, she had heard that before. The nurse exhaled with relief and said she had seen them herself the night before. Many of them, standing among the trees, very peaceful and natural there, as though waiting. A patient passed away that night, and she was certain those angels had come to take him home. For Trudy, this no longer felt like coincidence. Too many stories matched, told by people of different faiths, ages, and backgrounds. They described the same peace in their final moments and happiness at the sight of those visitors, as if someone kind and immense was already there to meet them. In her book, Glimpses of Heaven, Trudy Harris shares true accounts that point to death not as an ending, but as a crossing filled with dignity and peace, sometimes, simply, accompanied by angels waiting in the garden. Virginia Garberding spent over 2 decades caring for people at the edge of life, those with dementia, the frail, the forgotten. She believed every person, no matter how old or dependent, still carried meaning. But even someone as grounded as Virginia faced a moment she couldn't explain, a moment that changed her understanding of life, death, and what might wait beyond it. Her father had always feared losing himself to illness. He was a pastor, strong-willed, proud, and terrified of becoming dependent. When a stroke left him in a coma, that fear became Virginia's silent prayer. Every day, as she sat by his bed, she whispered the same words, "Lord, I don't know how this can end well." Help us." She read from the Bible, sang his favorite hymns, "How Great Thou Art" and "Heaven is My Home." Her brother and sister-in-law took turns keeping vigil at night. The doctors said it would be only a few more days. That evening, as the sky turned dark, Virginia stood by the window of her father's hospital room, speaking quietly to her sister on the phone. While she was talking, something shifted in the glass, a movement behind her. She turned around. The room was silent. Her father hadn't moved in days, the door was closed, and there was no one else inside. Then she caught a reflection again, a shape, tall and still. She looked down to the street 5 floors below, searching for lights, headlights, anything that could explain it. There was nothing. When she turned back, the memory came rushing in. It was a night in October 1987. She had been a young night nurse then, sitting in a dim hallway at 4 in the morning. She remembered watching 3 nursing assistants walk back and forth across the hall, changing linens, caring for patients. Then, suddenly, there were 4. The 4th was not like the others. He was much taller, towering above them. He didn't walk. He seemed to glide. She never forgot that sight. For years she wondered why she, of all people, had been allowed to see it. Now she knew the same tall, slow-moving figure stood beside her father's bed. It was him, the same being from all those years ago. A sense of calm spread through her. She understood that she was not meant to be afraid, only to recognize what she was seeing. The angel moved gracefully, passing directly over her father, and then seemed to fade, as if leaving through the wall. Virginia turned back to the window. She didn't tell her sister what had just happened. She simply said, "Dad will be gone tonight." There was no doubt in her voice. When her brother and sister-in-law arrived for the night shift, she repeated the same words. "He'll be gone tonight." The hospice papers sat untouched on the bedside table. Her father lay peaceful, breathing evenly as though sleeping. Mary leaned close and whispered, "Take Jesus' hand, Dad." Virginia said goodbye and left for home. Not long after, her father passed away, quietly, without struggle. The drive that night, an hour and a half through the darkness, felt different from every other. There was no grief, no fear, only peace. She felt certain that what she had witnessed wasn't meant to shock or confuse her. It was meant to reassure her that everything, even death, was under control. Years later, that sense of calm never left her. When trouble comes, a flat tire, a diagnosis, a family conflict, she says she remembers that night and simply hands it over to God. Virginia doesn't tell her story to everyone, only to those who might need it. She reads about angels sometimes, but she never chases after them. She prefers the quiet thought that nurses are often called angels of mercy, a name that for her now carries a deeper meaning. She saw the same angel twice in her life, once in a quiet hospital corridor, once at her father's deathbed. Both times the figure was tall, graceful, slow, and filled with silent power. It didn't speak. It didn't need to. For her, that was enough proof that there is something beyond fear, something gentle, orderly, and divine watching over all of us. Julie McFadden has spent more than 15 years walking with people through their final days. She started her career in intensive care, where everything was about saving lives. But in hospice, she found something even more important: learning how to let go. Known as hospice nurse, Julie, she became a voice that helps people approach a subject many fear to mention. Her mission is simple: to demystify dying, to show that it can be peaceful, even meaningful, when met with understanding instead of panic. Over the years, she has seen patterns that science still struggles to explain. Across every age, culture, and faith, people close to death describe the same thing: visitations. Studies show that between 50 and 80% of dying patients report seeing someone or something waiting for them. They reach upwards, smile, whisper words like, "They are all here," or "I am not alone." Steve Jobs, moments before his passing, famously said, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow." Julie has heard that same tone of wonder many times from people who were moments away from leaving this world. But there was one night that would change her forever. It was a late admission. A young woman, mother of 2 adult children, was being brought home from the hospital to die. Julie was tired, frustrated to be called in so late, but when she saw the woman, all irritation vanished. The patient was barely breathing, unconscious with a bluish tone to her skin, her lungs rattling with the unmistakable sound of death. Julie thought, maybe I will stay until she passes, so her children will not be alone. She got the woman settled, made sure she was comfortable, and then quietly told the family, "I think your mom is going to die tonight. You should call anyone who would want to say goodbye." While they made phone calls, Julie filled out paperwork and watched from the corner of the room, waiting. Minutes turned into hours, but the woman did not die. She just kept breathing, slow, heavy, but steady. Eventually, Julie decided to leave, trusting the children would call when it was over. Before walking out, she turned to check on the woman one last time. And that is when it happened. In a flash, not like a dream, but like a sudden burst of awareness, Julie saw something standing behind the bed. A shape, massive and still. As tall as the ceiling, as wide as a car, dense, solid, unmoving. It had the outline of a human, head, shoulders, arms, but it felt carved from power itself. The presence did not speak, but its meaning was clear. She is mine. I have got her. It was not cruel or kind, just absolute. She blinked, and it was gone. She brushed it off, convincing herself it was exhaustion or imagination. But she could not shake the feeling that what she had seen was real. That night, she went home certain the woman had died after she left. The next morning, she checked her work messages. Nothing. No death calls, no reports. Confused, she called the family. The son answered, his voice cheerful. "Oh, Julie. No, last night was peaceful. Mom slept through the night. She woke up hungry this morning. She is eating pancakes in the kitchen." Julie paused. She could hear the sound of laughter in the background, her laughter. Within hours, she was at their home again. And there she was, sitting up, eating, smiling. A woman who had been moments from death was alive and alert. It was the biggest rally Julie had ever seen, a sudden return of strength before death. But this one defied everything she knew. Biologically, there was no explanation. The woman lived not for hours, but for 3 more months, and then died peacefully on hospice. Only later did Julie allow herself to revisit that image. The tall, immovable being at the bedside. The sense of power that filled the room. "I know what I saw," she told herself. "I just did not understand it then." Julie does not claim to have all the answers. She does not insist it was an angel. But she cannot deny what she felt. Strength, protection, something beyond comprehension. And she is not alone. In Los Angeles, where she works with people from many faiths and cultures, she has heard stories that echo the same mystery: light, presence, comfort, moments before death. For Julie, that night changed everything. It taught her that not everything at the bedside can be measured or explained. Some things are simply witnessed. She believes sharing such stories matters, not as proof, but as truth from experience. She often says that death is not something to fear. Maybe, when our time comes, we are not falling into darkness at all. Maybe we are being met by something vast, powerful, and gentle, waiting just beyond the edge of what we can see. What do you think? Are angels real? Or the language our final moment uses to speak to us? Have you or your loved ones ever seen something like this? Light, a presence, footsteps by the bedside? Share your story in the comments. Let's gather honest testimonies here. If this resonated with you, please subscribe, give the video a like, and turn on notifications so you do not miss new episodes. Thank you for watching and for your trust. Take care. See you very soon.